If they running their mouth, then they looking for trouble. Ran right up in the knowledge, now they back in the huddle. See, they know we can fight. New content every week. Me and Dr. Clyde keep on bringing the heat. Now they know that we driven, and they know we ain't quitting. Yoshi and Dr. Winner keep on bringing the energy. Unity. See, they know we ain't stopping, and they know they got problems, and they ran out of options. If you know we got a problem, can't let it go unsolved. Bring back Slaughter, Afrocentric history, we see tomorrow. Karma's karma, I say what I say, I hear underwater. Till I see I fall off, then I bring y'all up on note. I'm back up on my Clyde winners, 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 Clyde winners. Divine Winters, Clyde Winters, mind bender, Clyde Winters. I'm Richard, ride with ya, master teacher, create masters, Clyde Winters. Give respect to the elder, Clyde Winters. I know that somebody out there living for me. I told you somebody out there looking for me. I think there's somebody out there looking for me. I think there's somebody out there looking for me.
We have to live by the heart. We have to live by the heart. I have not done wrong. I have not robbed. I have not stolen. I have not drank. I have not told lies. I have not stolen food. I was not stolen. I have not fornicated with the fornicator. I have not caused anyone to weep. I have not dissembled. I have not transgressed. I have not discussed secrets. I have brought no lawsuits. I am not wrong. I have not struck kill. I have not transgressed the law. I have not been hunted. Except when I'm talking about on the tongue. I have not made extolling. I have not bragged. I have not cursed. I have not been violent. I have not confounded truth. I have not been impatient. I have not cursed against
Dr. Winter's legacy is a testament to the power of knowledge and the unyielding spirit of exploration. His impact is felt worldwide, as he shares and enlightens at conferences, symposiums, and collaborative projects. His voice is a beacon in the academic world, challenging, inspiring, and always educating. His journey reminds us that the quest for knowledge is never-ending, and its impact is timeless. Dr. Winters teaches us to challenge the narratives and to learn with an open mind. As he always says, B1 is not a group, it's a lineage. Let his story inspire everybody to pursue knowledge relentlessly and to always seek the truth. Now let us welcome in the grandfather of research, the Trill OG himself, the Honorable Dr. Clyde Winter.
Yeah. I'm Yoshi. Yeah. And that's NTR. You probably be mad at me for what I might say. Hey, you probably be mad at me for what I might say. Hey, you for what I might say. Hey, you probably be mad at me because I am blunt. 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 I say what I want. I say what I want. No restrictions, no filter here. Only the truth. Truth get revealed. We all want the truth and I ill. We all want the truth and I ill. Tell me I'm wrong. I make the correction. Something went wrong. You switch the directions. Hate me so much. You block my blessings. Truth should set you free from exceptions. Loving me can't leave nobody. They can't hold my body now. No restrictions over the hill. Only the truth get revealed. All we want, truth in here. All we want, truth in the hill. Tell me wrong, take the correction. Tell me what's wrong. Twist the direction. Take me so much. Like my pleasure. Truth is living. Truth from possession. You probably be mad at me for what I might say. You probably be mad at me for what I might say. You probably be mad at me for what I might say. Because I am blunt. I am blunt. I say what I feel. I say what I want. I say nothing but truth. I am blunt. I say what I feel. I say what I want.
What up, though? What up, though? What up, though? Hey, JP, what up, Joan? You know, this is a beautiful day in Chicagoland. Yes, a beautiful day. I almost want to sing that old song. How you doing, Professor X? It is a beautiful day. What makes it so beautiful is that, number one, the sun is shining, so I can get some of that melanosynthesis. Yes, melanosynthesis. Do you know what that is, family? Well, I'm going to tell you. Melanosynthesis is when you can go out in the sun and you can absorb all that melanin. How you doing, Brett? When you can absorb all that melanin go through your body. And it's just like how solar energy affects the plant. You know, you have, in a sense, photosynthesis. That's when, in a sense, the plant metabolizes the solar energy, the minerals, and all that stuff, and then you become, grow into a beautiful green plant. Well, hey, that's what happens to us. Yes, that's what happens to us. You know, it happens to us when we, in a sense, go out and we absorb or we deal with the elements. It's very important to understand that what we're doing is that we're trying, in a sense, to deal with the elements. We're trying, in a sense, to be able to do things. You know, I mean, whoa, this is beautiful. I love this, JP. JP says, I'm currently at the library, but it's raining over here, unfortunately. Well, hey, that's good, but you're at the library. That's a nice place to go, especially when you don't really have anything else to do. I used to love to go to the library. And my wife, she used to be very mad at me because I'd be at the library too much. One time we went to the library and she said I left her in the car too long. But I didn't mean to do that. But, you know, so it's very good. It's always good, in a sense, to get out and get into the elements because, see, this is it. Melanated people, they're not meant to be like laying on the beaches and things like Europeans do. But melanated people should go out and enjoy the sunshine because of the fact that it's the sunshine that allows us to be able to metabolize that solar energy. What that does, that helps us to be able to fight many diseases. It helps us, in a sense, to become acclimatized to our environment, and it helps us to maybe fight many of the ailments that can really destroy people. You know, yes, it's true though. There were diseases like smallpox. Smallpox used to be a big enemy of melanated people in Africa and even in early America. But that's only because the fact, in a sense, is that, you know, the people in America didn't know the cure. Once we got the cure, we were able to do that, you know. And that's true. You know, a lot of times, in a sense, they talk about vitamin D deficiencies, Professor X, and that people need that. But, you know, it's very interesting that until fairly recently, you know, the Eskimos were very dark, you know, because they always said that if you're in a northerly environment, you won't be able, in a sense, to get the melanin. The melanin won't be produced. You know, that whole thing about chemistry and geography, you know, that's not really true. That's not really true. It's not really true in the sense that your environment determines, in a sense, your complexion or determines how melanated you are. It's just, in a sense, is that some people have more melanin in their skin than others. For example, today you go to a beach in China, you're going to find that many of the Chinese, many of them are going to be wearing, trying to shade themselves from the sun because they don't want their melanin to be ignited and they become more brown. Or the same thing with people in Japan, because see, many people want to run away from that brown skin. Many people, in a sense, They don't want to be recognized as melanated people, because the fact is this, is that they feel that because Europeans rule the world today, they feel that to be melanated is somehow to be inferior. But that's wrong. We shouldn't really worry about that. We should really, in a sense, want to stay, in condition, and stay natural. Stay in understand, in a sense, our relationship with the Almighty Creator. No matter what name you may call him, He is, in a sense, she is the master. I can't really, in a sense, try to focus on in any one direction. But see, what I do know that as a foundational Black American, we only exist because of the Almighty God. Because see, in America, we have an understanding of number one, white supremacy, and number two, critical race theory. What is critical race theory? Critical race theory is, number one, the idea that Europeans, white people, hate you. Number two, critical race theory says that Black people, because of the fact, in the sense that white people, believe in white supremacy, then therefore, in a sense, white people want to kill you. They would really like to wipe you out. And number three is that because we live in a sense, critical race theory maintains that we live in a racist society. We live in a racist society because of the fact, in the sense, is that the dominant population has established a race. And in this race, they've established the guidelines, they've established the rules. And in this particular racism, you're going to always lose. And, Caucasians or white people are going to win. And the reason that white people are always going to win is that their whiteness not only represents, in a sense, currency or money, or that it's an asset, it also, in a sense, represents privilege. And so then, therefore, in a sense, to really society, Caucasian people have to, in a sense, accept the fact that they live in a society in which, if they're going to remain on top, they have to make sure that they set the rules. They have to make sure that they stay on code, and that code is to keep the end down. You see, and a lot of people they get angry. Sometimes they'll put in their comments, or they'll send me emails. Dr. Winters, don't say that N word. That's in a way that's right, and I try to avoid that N word. But in a way, that N word was not always, in a sense, a sign of derogatoriness. It wasn't a sign to degrade us. In fact, back in the day, many of the kings would put that in their names. Especially many of the kings and many of the Black kings of Scotland and Ireland, they would put the N word in their name, in their name, and also, in a sense, it would be a part of their badge in a sense of supremacy. Yes. Because many of the elites in Europe were Black, were dark skinned. They felt, in a sense, that Black was not a term of inferiority. They felt that Black, in a sense, was a term of superiority, a term, in a sense, that showed their reality. Back in the day, this site called Egypt Search used to be the only site, in a sense, where you could find information, where you could find a lot of information dealing with Black civilizations all over the world. So when we were at Egypt Search back in the day, it was a really popular site. Now I remember this one brother, he had put on Egypt Search some shoes that the Black elites had made from white skin. Yeah, they made shoes out of white skin. So it was kind of, in a sense, kind of an interesting thing. But back then, I didn't really think about the Black Europeans. How you doing, Lord Taharka and Black Scraps, the gamer? I didn't really think about it because I felt, in a sense, that was didn't relate to me. But then, as after the research of some of the other people, and after we really started to re-examine the research, and we found that many of our surnames didn't come from our plantation masters, then therefore, in a sense, we had to say, aha, and we found out that 300,000 Black Irish, Scotsmen, and Welsh, who were Catholics, were black people ethnically. Then that explained, in a sense, why a lot of our surnames, came from the English language, or came from Ireland and Scotland and places like that. Because we had to see, in a sense, that many of these surnames we had even before we ended up on these varied. The best example of this was back in the day when they started looking at Black people in Jamaica. And they found that many of the Black people in Jamaica, they had the names, in a sense. They had Irish names and Welsh names and British names. But then when they tried to check the tax rolls, and they tried to, in a sense, they tried to find slave owners who had these names. And they found, in a sense, that, how you doing, Denise? They found, Lord Harker, they found, in a sense, that there were no slaveholders that had those names. But see, now due to further research, more consistent research, we begin to see this identity thing. Today I'm going to talk about the Black Germans. And the reason I wanted to talk about the Black Germans is that I spent a lot of time, talking about the Black people were the dominant people in Europe. And I spent a lot of time talking about the Black people in Britain and Ireland. And we already know that there was a large number of Black people in Iberia, Portugal, and Spain. And their testimony to these Black elites that ruled, Portugal and Spain, it mainly comes from the artifacts. How you doing, Boss Life? The artifacts that the Moors have left us in Spain and Portugal. So today I wanted to kind of discuss, in a sense, the Black people in Germany, because I think that it gives you even further understanding of how, in a sense, Europe was a Black continent, how, in a sense, that many of the Europeans who are in Europe today, they're very recent elites. One of the things that really hurt, in a sense, the Black elites in Europe was the fact, in a sense, that they started having these wars, these religious wars. And these religious wars were between the Catholics and the Protestants. And because they had these religious wars, what happened after a while, many of these people killed each other off. And as they killed each other off, as they began, in a sense, to be eliminated, in a sense, as estate owners or having property, then, in a sense, many Caucasians who used to be in the armies of these Black Catholics or these Black Protestants, they got the land. And that's one of the reasons why we see today we can't find a Black Irishman. We can see that many of them were Black because of their heritage or whatever. But the thing is, this is that they were able, in a sense, through their fighting. See, that's the European way. The European way of conquering Black people is to allow them to fight each other. And then once they beat each other down, then what they do, in a sense, is that, then what they do is that they just take over the land. Black people in Africa, they sold each other as slaves over. Black people in India, they were always engaged in wars and fighting each other. And then the northern Indians, the Aryan Indians, they came down to the south, and they began, in a sense, to conquer the dark or melanated Tamil-speaking people. In America, many of the Aboriginal Blacks, who were the original people who ran this country, they lost their land too. Because of the fact they attacked each other. I began this show today when I played a video by Yoshimod the Genius. And in this video by Yoshimod the Genius, what makes this video to me so important is that we have to be blunt. We have to, in a sense, sometimes you may not like to tell the truth because it hurts. It hurts for people to know that maybe their ancestors didn't play that great a role in history. But even though it hurts them, you still have to be blunt. I have to be blunt. I have to try to tell the truth. And that's what we try to do on Black History Gems. Yes, on Black History Gems, I try to bring you those gems of history that relate to us as a Black people. Again, as I said earlier, over the years, I've talked a lot about the Black people in Ireland, the Black people in Britain, the Barabinaks. Today, we're going to talk about the Black people in Germany, and I hope that you can enjoy this. Right now, don't forget to like this video and subscribe. Yes, subscribe. Then at least in a sense you'll have the opportunity to be notified about this video I often hear from some of the people who support the platform that they don't get regular announcements about when I'm about to do a video. But that's why I want you to subscribe. I want you to push like, and I want you to ring the bell so that you can, in a sense, be fully, subscribed, and you'll get information when I do my various videos. Okay, I'm going to get started. Let's see. Ba-ba-bo. Okay, as you can see, this is we're going to talk about the blacks in Germany. This first picture, as you can see, a Moorish castle, and in the Moorish castle, you can see the Moors, and it's very interesting when you look at these Moorish soldiers who are fighting these Moorish archers. You can see that there was dark-skinned Moorish archers, and they were light-skinned Moorish archers. You can look at some of the Moors in the background on the far right-hand side. So we've always been a multiplicity of colors, but we had different hues, but we were dark skinned, but we were black people. And then you can see in the windows of this castle, you can see the elite, you can see the king, you can see the queen, and you can see some of the other royalties in the windows, and they're watching their soldiers fight the wild people. And most of the time, these wild people, if you notice, they're barefoot, and this is supposed to represent that they were hairy. They were barefoot and hairy, and they were trying to attack the black people, the black elites, because they wanted to steal from them. They wanted to take away from them their land. They wanted to take away from them their holdings, you see. But it's very important to understand that although there was Caucasians who were becoming increasing in numbers in Europe as they migrated out of Central Asia into Europe, but basically Europe was still dominated by black elites. You can go to my Patreon to see the slides. Please join my Patreon. I really want to thank all those people who've been joining my Patreon lately, but I can always use more people, because the point is that it's the people in my Patreon that inspire me to do many of the shows that I do every Thursday. It's also people in my Patreon who provide me with the monies to be able to do the research I do. I try to keep my research up to the latest information. That means I have to go get newspaper articles, I have to go get journal articles, and I need books. Often these articles that are in newspapers and journals, they're behind a paywall. And so that means that I have to pay money just to kind of read the article, not to even be able to purchase it, but just to read it. And then sometimes they come out with new books, and I sometimes want to buy the new books to make sure that I'm getting the latest information so that I can bring the latest information to you. And the reason that I can bring the latest information to you is because of my Patreon. Thank you, Patreon, for your constant support. Thank you for the well wishes you always send me. And thank you, in a sense, for being there for me. And I'd like some of you out there, to also support me. Join my Patreon. You can now see my videos here on my channel, Clyde Winters YouTube videos. I have here over 400. I have here over 400 videos, full-length videos that discuss every aspect of Black history on every continent. In addition, I think I have a large number, maybe at least 25 to 30 video shorts where I discuss various issues, you see. But see, you could learn about the history of Black people in various places of the world by just sitting down, going through my video catalog, and then, in a sense, you're able, in a sense, to develop a regimen where you can learn the history of Black people in Europe, the Black people in South America, the Black people in Africa, the Kushites, the Muslims here, the Muslims. And you can do this. And I did make some video guides. And if you join my Patreon, you'll find that I have video guides. And these video guides, they'll list the various videos on various topics that can save you time from going to look through the whole catalog. But again, you can there's videos here. Look at my videos. Just don't look at my lives. sometimes come back, look at my videos because they're all aspects of Black history. These videos can help you to learn. You can order my books at Amazon.com. And I appreciate all of the people who've ordered my books, and I thank you very much because, see, in ordering my books, that gives me the incentive to do more writing. And it also, in a sense, allows you to get more knowledge. It allows you to get a greater understanding of those topics that I'm talking about. You see, some people say I'm long-winded. Well, maybe I am. But what I do is that when I do a video, I try to really explore the topic because, see, much of the information that I'm presenting to you is new. Yes, it's new. And since much of the information that I'm presenting to you is new, sometimes I have to have longer videos. I usually try to keep them within 2 hours because I have to have these long videos so that I can really provide you with the information that can help you to get a better understanding, of the theme that I'm talking about, So order my books on Amazon. They can give you a more detailed understanding of the information I present here. Let the researcher do the research. Yes, let the researcher do the research. But you can also become a researcher. If you don't join my my research class, you can get my books, Pathfinder, Clyde Winters in Search of the Roots of Afrocentrism, a memoir. In this book, I talk about how I became a researcher. I talk about the people I met over the years, like Ivan Van Sertima and other people, Van Woodnall, Alexander Van Woodnall. And I talk to you about my trials and tribulations in trying to be a researcher so that you can look and read about how I became a researcher. And it can help you to, in a sense, gain an understanding of some of the trials and tribulations you might have as an Afrocentric researcher, but also you learn how, in a sense, to become a researcher. That's why, in a sense, it not only talks about my life, but it also talks about how you can do the research yourself, how you can make yourself a researcher. And then I do have an online course, and I teach this online course every semester. I got an online course right now, and I got students in the course. But for those of you people who are unable to take my course, you can get my book, The Afrocentric Researcher. And The Afrocentric Researcher is a guide to study social science research methods. In this book, I explain, in a sense, how to do quantitative Afrocentric research, how to do linguistic research, how to do genetic research. I was on the Sa Netter. I thank Sa Netter for allowing me to be on the show. He has a very nice platform. A lot of the people on his platform gave me a very nice welcome. So I really appreciate that. But it was one person who said that, one person who got on and he said, if you want to learn how to do Afrocentric research, you go to a university. I'm sorry to say, he said, get a master's degree. Many universities, they don't even teach research methods. A lot of people get a master's degree and they don't even write a thesis. In addition to not writing a thesis, a lot of them don't have a good research methods class. So when this person was getting in the chat and then in the comments saying that you could go to a university to learn research methods, that's a lie. Because a lot of universities don't have any research classes, even for people who get a master's degree. You see, many people with a PhD, they can't even complete their dissertations because they don't know how to do research. They don't know how to put a paper together. They don't know how to organize those chapters. They don't know how to write an introduction, do a methodology, a method section, thing like that. But see, my book, Afrocentric Researcher, it'll show you how to do all these things. And if you get this book, you see, it can help you to be a researcher, And if you get both books, they can give you a grounding on what to expect becoming an Afrocentric researcher. And it can also, in a sense, show you how to do the research and then how to not only do the research, but then later how to publish it and present it. So I get these books. Let the researcher do the research. I'm talking today basically about Black people in ancient Europe. Those books that I've written that can help you to get a better understanding of the history of Black people in Europe, as you will begin with my book, The World History of the Black Race. This is a survey book, and in this survey book, I cover all of the Black civilizations that ever existed. It's a survey course, so you get information and details about the various Black civilizations. Now you get my books, Blacks in Europe, and that gives you a greater understanding of in a sense, the history of Blacks in Europe from prehistory to contemporary times. So get my book, Blacks in Europe. Now, Manufactured Genetic Origins, the Fake Eurasian Black Migration. This book discusses, in a sense, the idea that you've been taught that white people originated in Europe. This book explains why the manufactured genetic origins, the fake Eurasian back migration, it explains that there were no Europeans or Caucasians in prehistoric Europe. It also, in a sense, explains how the culture, the Bell Beaker culture and other cultures that form, in a sense, the Neolithic cultures of Europe really originated in Africa. We're going to touch on a little bit of that. But in this book, Manufactured Genetic Origins, the fake Eurasian back migration, it shows you how when they talk about the Lamnamia culture, the Bell Beaker culture, these cultures, in a sense, were African cultures, and it was African people who were settling Europe, not any so-called Indo-Europeans. Indo-European, that's a myth. What is FBA? FBA is not a group. FBA is not an organization. FBA is a lineage. A lineage is lineal descent from an ancestry or pedigree. As a result, we are descendants of the African and Aboriginal Blacks who built the United States. Yes, yes, yes. B1 is acknowledging your Black African ancestry. And Mod. Yes, Mod. Mod is the life. In my opening done by Yoshimar the Genius, I'm speaking some of the 46, statements of Mod, because Mod should be how we control ourselves. Mod is how we should live. Mod teaches us, in a sense, how to treat our fellow man and how, in a sense, to exist as a human being. And many of us have lost the ability to be a human being because we've adopted this European culture, because we've adopted these European culture. And what is a European culture? A European culture is being degenerate. European culture is being selfish and taking from other people. European culture is having self-hate, hating yourself. European culture is being materialistic and not trying to share with others. But that's why we have to, in a sense, let Mod control us. Let that, in a sense, be our way. Let that allow us to see how we should treat each other. You see, we can't deal with our heritages as Black Muslims, Hebrews, Aboriginals, foundational Black Americans, African Americans. No. Or Catholics and Protestant. We have to allow Mod to be the rule. We have to follow those statements in Mod to be able to live with our fellow man and have a great civilization, a great society. Look at how the Egyptians went thousands of years, hundreds of years, before they had any trouble in their civilization, because they followed these rules. It was when they failed to follow those rules that we had the first and second intermediate periods. And then eventually, in a sense, because they failed to follow Ma'at, the Europeans came in, and today destroyed. But for 3,000 years, Egypt was a strong civilization. For 3,000 years, Black people in Egypt lived relatively in peace. But that was because of Ma'at. We must be race men and women proud of our culture and African Black ancestry. Yes, we must be B1, Black first. Yes, B1, Black first. But you got to remember, in a sense, that in ancient Latin, in Old English, Black is not just a color. Black equals brilliant, you see? So when you're B1, you're Black first. When you're B1, you're brilliant first. What? You're Black and brilliant. Yes, B1, you're Black and brilliant. German prehistory encompasses a broad expanse of time, extending from the earliest human habitation within what is now known as Germany through to the historical periods marked by Roman influence and the eventual rise of the Germanic tribes. This essay explores the significant phases of German prehistory, focusing on the Paleolithic era, the Neolithic Revolution, the Bronze Age, the Iron Age, and also, in a sense, culminating in the tribal formations that define ancient Germanic society and the Moors and other blacks. Because see, what you have to understand in a sense is that when you think about Europe today and you see all of these Caucasian people, that's not how it was. You see, while we go through this examination of German prehistory, take those images out of your mind. Replace those images in your mind with seeing black people who are the herders, black people who built the houses, black people who are riding the chariots, black people who are riding the wagons. Yes, black people like you, black people like me, black people like us. The earliest evidence of human activity in Germany dates back to the Paleolithic era. Archaeological finds such as the Tombs in Swabian Jura suggest the presence of human groups around 600,000 years ago. Yes. These would have been the Neanderthal people. The most famous Paleolithic sites are perhaps those of the Neander Valley, where the first Neanderthal fossil was discovered, indicating not only the presence of early humans, but also providing insights into their lifestyles, which were predominantly hunter-gatherer. Cave art and musical instruments like those found in the caves at Hockley Fields highlight the cultural and artistic dimensions of early inhabitants of Germany. The transition to the Neolithic age, starting around 5,500 BCE in Germany, marked a significant shift from nomadic lifestyles to settled farming communities. This era is characterized by the introduction of agriculture, which included the cultivation of cereals and domestication of animals. The linear pottery culture, the Lindenbandernik, named after its characteristic ceramic decorations, showcases some of the earliest examples of settled life. Megalithic structures and monumental architecture from this period, such as those found in Lower Saxony, bear testament to increasingly complex social structures and spiritual beliefs. Here you can see some of the pottery that they made in Germany, and this is what they believe was a house that was built, in a sense, by the blacks who lived in Europe. Between 3200 and 2900 BC, African culture and people began to migrate into Iberia. Iberia is what we call Spain and Portugal today, and introduced megaliths and the bell beaker culture. Spanish researchers accepted the reality that the Iberian Peninsula owed the major parts of Neolithic Iberia to African immigrants. Yes. Don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted. There were no people known that looked like the people who we call Caucasians today were found in any of the ancient civilizations at this early period of the Neolithic. Most Europeans do not begin to appear into Europe until after 1200, really 1000 BC. The African Sahara and Morocco is a major source for the bell beaker and corded-ware cultural complex. The proto-beaker pottery dates back to 4500 BC in the Sahara. This is what makes my book, The Manufactured Genetic Origins, The Fake Eurasian Back Migration, a very important book to understand the prehistory of Black people in Europe. Because in this book where I discuss many of these various expansions, when you see 1719 in parentheses 2022, that relates in a sense to the articles. You know, many people don't understand. They say, Dr. Winters, why do you present? Why are you supporting your research with your own books and articles? That's because a book or an article cannot be written unless it's based on evidence. Therefore, yes, I will discuss, in a sense, in my books, in my articles, the prehistory of Black people in Europe. But when you see numbers like 17, 19, 18, 20, 22, 23, those are talking about the articles, the primary research articles that I use to present to you. Yes. When I write books, when I write articles, I can only write these books. I can only write these articles based on primary evidence, you see? And that's why, in a sense, you'll sometimes see in my various, in the slides, in parentheses, numbers. And these numbers, They relate, in a sense, to articles and books that I used to write this particular information in my book, Manufactured Genetic Origins of Fake Eurasian Back Migration. Douglas et al. 19 provides a number of radiocarbon dates for the Bell Beaker complex in North Africa. We find Bell Beaker ware dating to 3700 BC in Morocco. By 2700 BC, we see the expansion of Beaker complex into Iberia. The Iberian Bell Beaker complex is associated with the Maritime tradition Bell Beaker. There are numerous Bell Beaker sites in the Sahara. Morocco, a center of the Moroccan Beaker complex ceramics and arrowheads come from Hassi Oued and in the cave at Ifriq Oued. Artifacts found in these sites are similar to Iberian Beaker complex forms. This, as you can see, this picture, these are the Bell Beaker and the wavy line potteries. And as you can see, this is what we call the Bell Beaker pottery and other pottery that was taken, that was being built, made at that time. And we see that the earliest examples of Bell Beaker come from Africa, you see. And when you read about the prehistory of Europe, that's what they're always talking about, is the introduction of Bell Beaker across Europe. They usually have it coming in from the Caucasus situation, but that's a lie. Because as I just told you, Bell Beaker was also entering Europe, via Iberia, directly from Africa. But they like to make it look like everybody came from Central Asia. So Europeans do that so that they can fake you out and make you think, oh, hey, that had to have been white people. Only white people lived in Central Asia. No. These were black people who migrated across Africa, and then they came down from Central Asia, but they also went through Iberia. The interesting fact about the discovery of these Bell Beaker artifacts is that they were widespread across the Middle Atlas Mountains at sites such as El Kifin, Skirat, Deraouzi, Haf, Tat El Gia, Ifriq Oued Barid. This finding matches Turik, which explains the spread of typically Beaker-style stamp decoration, Bell Beaker culture, pottery from Morocco into Iberia and then to the rest of Europe. Here you can see, in a sense, of some of the Bell Beaker, pottery or the stamp decoration. You can see how, in a sense, above it I have some fragments of the pottery. Then you can see a pottery artifact related to the Bell Beaker culture, so you can understand what archaeologists are using to discuss this ancient culture. McWhite and Oladi et al. Claims that there was a close relationship between Iberia and Britain. These researchers admit that Portugal and Brittany were settled by megalithic Africans who founded respectively the Mujim and the Tel Viek sepulchres. There's a map of Brittany on the right-hand side. You might want to take a few seconds to peruse it. There are numerous Bell Beaker sites in the Sahara and Morocco. A center of the Moroccan Beaker complex ceramics and arrowheads come from Hassi Oued, and in the cave at Ifriq Oued Barid. Artifacts found at these sites are similar to Iberian Beaker complex forms. In that map on the right-hand side, you can see some of the sites where they found the Beaker pottery. And again, in a sense, look at that map. As you can see, the Gulf of Gibraltar, and as you can see, it's so that Spain, Portugal was very close to Morocco. It wasn't that much of a distance for these African people to take their culture from Africa into Iberia, you see. But again, Europeans, they like to lie. And when they talk about Bell Beaker, they always like to make it appear that Bell Beaker came from Central Asia. Again, it's all part of trying to create that myth in the sense that it was Caucasians that introduced, so-called Indo-Europeans that introduced the Bell Beaker culture. No. As you can see, they were closer to Spain, they were closer to the Iberian Peninsula than going all the way through the Levant and then up into the Caucasus Mountains and down. So they came from that direction too. But basically, in a sense, they mainly in the beginning, they just crossed the Straits of Gibraltar. The interesting fact about the discovery of these pottery is that it is so beautiful, and that you can see in a sense here. Here's some other examples of the Bell Beaker pottery. You know, the African Sahara in Morocco is a major source for Bell Beaker. And as you can see some more pottery. This is a Bell Beaker pottery that they put together. Also, if you notice, there's many artifacts. In addition to the Bell Beaker pottery, we also find some of the arrowheads, the spearheads. We can see an axe. Another artifact. So they had a very sophisticated culture, Neolithic culture. Evidence for the beaker in the form of pottery first appears in Britain around 2475 to 2315 BC, along with flat axes and burial practices of inhumation. Okay, again, here you can see in the middle of these artifacts on the left hand in this picture, you can see the arrowheads on the left hand side. You can see that flat axe in the middle. So this is what they're talking about when they mention flat axe. Beaker people not only introduced a new pottery style, they also were refining metals with copper being smelted until discovery of smelting bronze around 2150 BC. Over the next 1,000 years, bronze slowly replaced stone as the main material for tool and weapon making. The importance of British tin during the Bronze Age was discussed, when you think about the Phoenicians. Here you can see the Eurasian steppes. You can see how they moved into Central Asia. And in a sense, then they came in from the coast. But as you can see, it was just a hop skip. You can see in a sense where we have, in a sense, Egypt, the North Africa, Egypt. You can see Arabia. Then you can see how they came in and up through the Eurasian steppes into Central Asia and across. And we see in a sense that, but as I said earlier, Bell Beaker was coming in from two directions, not just from Central Europe, and not just from the Eurasian steppes. They were also, in a sense, coming in just across the Straits of Gibraltar. The Beaker culture spread into Germany from the west, with significant sites found throughout the region, particularly along the rivers Rhine, Danube, and Elbe. This culture had a considerable influence on the local Neolithic populations, leading to a blend of cultural traits. Important Beaker culture sites in Germany include settlements and burial grounds in regions such as Bavaria, Hesse, and Saxony-Anhalt. Notable discoveries include Beaker pottery, metal artifacts, and human remains, providing insights into their way of life. Again, in the sense, you can see this map, and this map shows some of the early Bronze Age sites in Europe. Again, you can see that there was a lot of activity in Iberia, and you can see there was a lot of activity also down in Germany and places like that. You might want to take a couple of seconds to look at that map. The Beaker culture is named after its characteristic pottery, which includes bell-shaped beakers with intricate geometric designs. These beakers were often used for drinking and were sometimes buried with the dead as grave goods. Beaker culture burials are typically single graves, with the deceased often placed in a crouch position. Graves were frequently accompanied by beaker pottery, flint tools, and other artifacts, indicating a belief in an afterlife and the importance of grave goods. The Beaker culture is associated with the introduction and spread of metallurgy in Europe, particularly the use of copper and gold. Metal objects such as daggers, axes, and ornaments have been found in Beaker culture sites, showcasing their advanced metalworking skills. Important Beaker culture in Germany includes settlements and burial grounds in the regions such as Bavaria, Hesse, and Saxony. There's many Negro skeletons or African black skeletons that have been found in ancient Europe. The study of human remains is a crucial aspect of anthropology, providing invaluable insight into the migration, evolution, and interaction of ancient populations. Among the fascinating discoveries in Europe are the skeletal remains, indicating African ancestry found in Germany. These findings challenge and enrich our understanding of prehistoric human movement and interactions. This essay explores notable discoveries of African ancestry, skeletons in Germany, examining their location, dates, and the implications of these findings for the broader narrative of human history. One of the most debated discoveries is the Oberkassel man, unearthed near Bonn, Germany in 1914. This male skeleton, dated to approximately 14,000 years ago during the Upper Paleolithic period, has been at the center of discussion regarding ancestry. Initial studies, based primarily on cranial morphology, suggest African features. Again, I'm going to show you these are some reconstructions of how they think these people may have looked. And what they did is that, as you can see, when you look at this picture, you can see, in a sense, the reconstruction. And then if you look on the left side of the picture, but it's only, you can see the fragments. This particular person, the Oberkassel man, is based upon the cranium or skeletal remains that you can see a slight picture of. In 1937, a fragmentary human mandible was discovered in the Hochlinstein Stadel cave in the Swabian Jura region of Germany, dating back to approximately 40,000 years. This find belongs to the Upper Paleolithic period. Although not definitively classified as African descent, the presence of African genetic markers has been suggested through ancient DNA studies. These findings point to the possibility of early hominid migration from Africa into Europe, contributing to the genetic diversity observed in ancient European populations. The Magdalenian period, dating from approximately 12,000 to 17,000 years ago, has provided us with much information about some of the people who existed at that time. Sites such as Gonensdorf and Andernach have yielded remains with cranial features that sparked hypotheses of African admixture. Although not definitively proven, these hypotheses are supported by occasional genetic markers indicative of African ancestry. The study of these remains continues to offer insight into the potential movement and interaction of humans. Again, this is a reconstruction of a woman who was dating to this period. I think it's very interesting when you see the cap that she's wearing is made out of shells. In Saxony-Anhalt, Germany, the Uhlau site revealed multiple burials dating back around 4,600 years, associated with the corded ware culture of the early Bronze Age. Again, this is a reconstruction of one of the people whose skeleton. They reconstructed the face of this particular person who was in Germany around 4,600 years ago. And again, you can see those African features and stuff like that. Genetic analysis of these remains have shown diverse haplogroups, some of which suggest connections to population in the Near East and Africa. These findings reflect the dynamic and far-reaching network of migration and exchange that characterized the early Bronze Age, illustrating the movement of peoples and ideas across vast distances. Again, that's a reconstruction. She has some rabbit feet on a necklace. That's interesting. The Liechtenstein cave in the Harz Mountains of Lower Saxony revealed remains from approximately 3,000 years ago. During the Bronze Age, the cave contained the skeletons of multiple individuals, and genetic analysis have indicated the presence of mitochondrial DNA haplogroups commonly found in North Africa. This suggests possible African ancestry or migration routes that included North African populations. And I've already shown that the Bell Beaker, really supports this. The Liechtenstein cave findings highlight the extensive and complex interactions between different regions and populations during the Bronze Age. Again, on the left-hand side, you can see a reconstruction of one of the skeletons from Saxony. You know. The study of African ancestry skeletons in Germany represents a significant and evolving field in anthropology, from the Paleolithic to the Bronze Age. These are some of the other skeletons. These are some of the other, first Europeans. And again, you see that there was a clear presence of Black people. And this whole idea of a Cro-Magnon man, that's how the Americans and the Russians, they try to make them in a sense look more European, but in reality, the people look more like the people at the bottom, the Kirstenstein, Russia, and then the Cro-Magnon man from other parts of Central Asia. So you can see that these were Black people. But again, they want you to believe in a sense somehow that when you look at these pictures, you're not supposed to see any Negroid features. When you look at these pictures, you're not supposed to see wide noses, big lips, things like that. You're supposed to, in a sense, look at the American version. You're supposed to really, in a sense, just in your mind, stop seeing them as Black and see them as white. But they were not Caucasians. Beginning around 2200 BCE, the Bronze Age heralds an era of significant technological and cultural advancement in German prehistory. Metallurgy profoundly impacted the socioeconomic landscape, as evidenced by the widespread use of bronze tools, weapons, and ornamental objects. The Nebra sky disk, that's what's on the left-hand side, dating from this period, underscores astronomical knowledge and the cosmological visions of the time. This era also saw increased trade and cultural exchange, notably with the Mediterranean civilization, facilitated by river systems like the Rhine and the Danube. This is the Hochdorf Celtic burial. This is an Iron Age grave from Hochdorf, in Baden-Württemberg, Germany. The burial mound is part of the Hallstatt culture, and the man interred in the mound was a Celtic chieftain. The grave dates around 530 BCE. It contained a wagon and a large bronze cauldron filled with about 400 liters, 100 gallons of mead, 9 drinking horns, and tableware for 9 people. The chieftain was about 40 years old and over 6 feet tall. He was wearing a birch hat, brightly colored clothing, a gold torque bracelet, and several amber beads. The grave goods also included a comb, a dagger, fishing hooks, arrows, and other tools made of bone, bronze, and antler from the Celtic Museum in Hochdorf, Germany. So again, these are some of the artifacts found in this tomb. Very interesting. This is supposed to be this is how the particular original skeleton was found. It was found on a bed like this. And those, if you could see the pictures of those, you see those humans who are holding up the bed. If you could see those figures usually have those figures have African features also. He was he was wearing a birch hat. He's wearing a birch hat, brightly colored clothing, a gold torque bracelet, and several amber beads. The grave goods also included a comb, a dagger, fishing hooks, arrows. Again, and you can see some of the artifacts that they found him and how he looked. The Iron Age, commencing around 800 BCE, introduced more profound changes with the advent of iron smelting, which provided more durable tools and weapons. This period is closely associated with the Hallstatt culture, which represents the early Iron Age culture in Germany, characterized by rich grave goods, hill forts, and salt mining. As the period progressed, the Latin culture emerged, reflecting more elaborate art styles and further development in iron metallurgy. These cultural expressions suggest a society that was both warlike and deeply connected to its spiritual and artistic tradition. This is a scene that you may have saw in one of the mines back in the day during the Iron Age in Germany. And that was where these black miners were not only, in a sense, mining the metals, they were also probably processing the metals melting them down and things like that, so they can make, bullion to take out. The final phases of the prehistoric period in Germany blend into the early historical era marked by the rise of the Germanic tribes. These tribes, such as the Saxons, Franks, and Goths, were identified both by Roman writers and through archaeological findings. The Roman historian Tacitus provides a detailed and somewhat biased account of these tribes in his work Germania, describing their customs, social structures, and interactions with the Roman Empire. Again, in a sense, the elites at this time would have remained black, but there would have been more and more Europeans, Caucasians, migrating into Germany and adopting the culture that these blacks practiced. German prehistory is a tapestry of human progress through the ages, from the earliest hunters and gatherers and the Paleolithic to the sophisticated Iron Age societies that eventually morphed into the tribes known to the Romans. Each period built upon the achievements of the last, showing advancements in technology, culture, and social organization that set the stage for the historical era. Understanding of prehistory is crucial as it provides the foundational context for the historical development of the Germanic people and their profound impact on the course of European history. The history of the Moors in Germany is a topic surrounded by layers of myth, speculation, and historical interaction that dates back to the Middle Ages. You see, but you got to remember that many of these Moors, some of them had come from Africa. Other Moors, in a sense, because they just used Moors as a name for the blacks, many of them were native-born black Germans, but they were native to the land because I've already shown you these prehistoric. Then I showed you, in a sense, the Iron Age. So you see this progression of black people in Germany from the prehistoric, Paleolithic, down to the Iron Age, and they would have also been existing there when the Moors came. The history of the Moors in Germany is a topic surrounded by layers of myth, speculation, and historical interaction that date back to the Middle Ages. The Moors originally from the Maghreb region of North Africa and West Africa, often associated primarily with their rule in the Iberian Peninsula. However, their influence extended beyond Spain and Portugal, reaching into various parts of Europe, including Germany. This presentation explores the historical context of Moorish presence in Germany, the extent of their influence, and the cultural change that occurred as a result of this interaction. The history of the Moors in Germany is a topic surrounded by layers of myth, speculation, and historical interactions that date back to the Middle Ages. Here we can possibly see some of the black Moors fighting some of the black and Caucasian Germans. The Moors originally from West Africa and Maghreb, extended their influence from Spain throughout Germany. And this is very important to understand. They had many influences, cultural and also scientific. The term Moors originally referred to the Muslim inhabitants of there, and here you can see in a sense that in the broader European context, Moor was used to describe Muslims in general, influenced by the Arabic term Maori, a designation for the inhabitants of the ancient Roman province of Mauritania, in what is now Morocco and Algeria. Here you can see some of the German art. Back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, they used to always say that these people, they would always say that these people claimed these were slaves, even though they were wearing elite garments and stuff. But see, now we know that was just ish. They were saying that to project the whole idea that the only black people in Europe, in a sense, were slaves. But as I've shown you, there was a continuity of black people in Germany from prehistoric to historic times. Here's the Queen of Sheba. This painting was done by a German artist during the medieval period. I included this because I like it. It's pretty cool. And this is supposed to be a representation of the Queen of Sheba. The direct interactions between Moors and the German regions primarily came through the Moors expanded into other parts of Europe. And what we find, in a sense, is we find in much of the heraldry, we find in these various crests and other documents relating to various black people or black families in Germany. And so these are some of the examples. While there's little evidence suggests that the Moors established any permanent rule in the territories of now Germany, their scientific, architectural, and cultural influences were disseminated across Europe, including the German lands during the Middle Ages. This influence was often mediated through Moorish Spain, where learning and culture flourished under Islamic rule, and through the movement of scholars and traders. You also have to remember is that the Moors, we're going to look at this a little bit later, but you're going to also find that we know that the Moors had a significant influence. Yes, they wasn't spreading Islam, but they had a significant influence in Germany because, in fact, they built so many beautiful forts that I'm going to show you later. But we know that many of the families from their crest had, in a sense, ancestors who were Schwarzen or blacks. You know, the transmission of knowledge from the Moors to Germany was part of the broader transmission, you see. You know, this knowledge included advancements in mathematics, astronomy, medicine, philosophy. Notable is the introduction of Arabic numerals, which replaced Roman numerals and facilitated a new way of mathematical thinking. In medicine, works by Moorish scholars were translated into Latin and became standard texts at medieval universities in Germany. And in fact, many of the universities were first created by the Moors. But you know what I found very interesting is that whereas in Germany, whereas in Iberia, you see a strong Islamic Muslim community. It seems as though that in Germany and other parts of Europe, even though the Moors had a significant influence, we find in a sense that you didn't find that many people in Germany or even in Britain who adopted the Islamic or Muslim religion. It seems as though that Christianity was firmly entrenched among these black Germans, you know, and so that when the Muslims came in, yeah, they accepted some of their medical knowledge, they accepted some of their scientific knowledge, but they still remained, in a sense, followers of the Christian religion. German scholars traveled to Spain and other parts of Europe where they could learn from the vast repositories of knowledge preserved by the Moors. The famous example of such learning centers was the University of Salamanca, which had extensive connections with Moorish scholars in Andalusia. Again, here we can see some of the beautiful crafts and hydrology of the German elites. Artistically, Moorish influence is evident in the Mudéjar style, which persisted in Spain even after the Reconquista. That means the Reconquista like to be, to destroy the Spanish influence. The Muslim influence in Spain, and influence architectural styles across Europe. Though less pronounced in Germany than in Spain, elements of this influence can be seen in decorative arts and the use of certain architectural techniques. The Moors were also instrumental in introducing new musical instruments into Europe, which had a lasting impact on European musical traditions. And that's why we find, in a sense, if you look at this picture on the right-hand side, it's an imagined picture to show how these black architects, these black journeymen, these black engineers were building these extensive and beautiful, castles throughout Europe. And as I've shown you earlier, in the image of the wild men attacking that Moorish castle, that most of the castles built during this period were often built by blacks, by the black Germans who were influenced by the Moors, and so we see this kind of identification. The Moorish history in Germany is more a history of cultural and scientific influence than a political or military or religious presence. The legacy of the Moors in Germany is part of a larger story of the transmission of knowledge and cultural practices from the Islamic world to Europe during the Middle Ages. This interaction was a crucial element in the broader cultural fabric of Europe, leading to significant developments in science, art, and literature. Understanding the nuances of this influence helps in appreciating the depth and complexity of historical interactions across religious and cultural borders. You see, that's why this light bulb is presenting the new ideas. German mosques by their intricate artistry, sophisticated use of geometry, and ornamental detailing. Key features include horseshoe arches, intricate tile floors, and ornate calligraphy and vegetal motifs. These architectural elements were developed and refined during the Moors' rule in Spain, particularly in structures like the Alhambra in Granada. And they were also, in a sense, included in many mosques. Yes, yes, yes. They in the mosques that they built in Germany. They built mosques in Germany, but many of these mosques that had been built during the Islamic period were later, in a sense, converted into Christian centers or Christian churches. Very important to remember. The influence of the Moors on castle building in Germany is a subject surrounded by Moor speculation, romanticism. You see, here you can see here's a representation of the wild. It's called Wild Men of Germany, and here you can see the wild men. And these people, as you can see, they were barefoot. You can look at their long nails if you look, and they were supposed to have been very hairy creatures, and they were supposed to, in a sense, been attacking in a sense the Moors who were or the black elites who you know what I think is what's very interesting when you look at this picture, you know, is that there was this headband that they usually find many Moors represented, and in fact, this headband you also found similar headbands on various Aboriginal black people. You also see that they wore in a sense long togas connected by brooches. And what I really like about this picture when you look at it, family, is that you see that they depicted, in a sense, the various hues of black people. You know that black people were not just very dark, that you had black people, in a sense, who were more copper colored, you know, and a little bit lighter. And I think that that's very important. So when you see this, you see that whole idea. And even when you look at the towers, you see some dark archers. When you look at the towers at the top, and then you find, in a sense, some copper colored or brown skin archers. And we see, in a sense, though, that it seems as though the royalty, though, they usually were very, very dark. And it's very important to understand is that it was this constant pressure that these wild men of Europe, the Caucasians, were always trying to fight and trying to take the wealth away from these black elites who were ruling the country. They were trying, in a sense, to attack these black castles so they could get that wealth. So just take a few seconds to look at that picture. Here's some more crests or heraldry from Germany. The transfer of architectural knowledge from Moorish Spain to other parts of Europe, including Germany, occurred primarily through indirect means, such as the Reconquistador, the Christian reconquest of the Iberian Peninsula, which led to increased interaction between Christians and Muslim cultures. As European Christians reclaimed territory, they encountered and often appropriated Islamic architectural elements. This influence spread through the rest of Europe gradually and was often mediated through secondary or even tertiary contacts. And as you can see with that fort in Germany, that it was already spreading. Again, this is some heraldry, some of the crests of the various black elites who were, you know, ruling in Germany. German castles, primarily built during the High Middle Ages, were influenced by Romanesque and later Gothic architectural styles. The typical German castle or burg was designed with functionally as a fortress and residence in mind, characterized by thick stone walls, narrow windows for defense, and imposing towers for surveillance, and as a status symbol, you see. The primary architectural influence on the German castles were local and regional developments, rather than direct external influences from Islamic architecture. The castle's evolution in Germany followed the technological and stylistic changes of European medieval architecture, influenced more directly by the Carolingian, Ottonian, Romanesque, and Gothic styles emanating from within Europe itself. That's what they claim. But as you can see, this particular German castle, you can see the Islamic influence, you know. While direct Moorish influence on German castle architecture is largely unsubstantiated, that's a lie. You can look at the towers, you can look and see how the towers were built, and you can see how, in a sense, the various ways that they made it so you could have defensive purposes, how you could hide behind the wall and turn around and shoot, get back behind and a different wall, and then through. Similarly, though, the trade routes such as those of the Hanseatic League, there was a cultural exchange that might have included architectural ideas. We know from the forts. Here's some of the Moorish-style history in Germany is best recognized by the various crests and heraldry of Germany. You can find these in the Schurbertschatz Wappenbuch. These are some of the various crests and heraldry from Germany. You see, it's very important to understand is that I know some of you are being discombobulated. Dr. Winters, why are you doing this to us? Why are you trying to make us believe that it was Black Germans? Stop this. And there's probably it may even be a troll in the chat. I can't see the chat since I'm doing this presentation. And you guys may say, please, stop trying to make me believe this stuff. But I want to let you hear what Benjamin Franklin wrote in 1751. Benjamin Franklin, circa 1751, warned about German immigrants as sons of Africa. What? Benjamin Franklin said the Germans were sons of Africa? And that swarthy complexion, which was an affront to the purely white people who originally settled in America. Yes, this is what Benjamin Franklin said. And I quote, why should Pennsylvania, founded by the English, become a colony of aliens who will surely be so numerous as to Germanize us instead of our anglicizing them, and will never adopt our language or customs any more than they can acquire our complexion? Yes. Even Benjamin Franklin in his time, in the mid 1700s, most of the Germans were still black. I don't have to lie. And then he continued, which leads me to add one remark, that the number, look at the underlying passage, which leads me to add one remark, that the number of purely white people in the world proportionally is very small. All Africa is black or tawny, Asia chiefly tawny, America exclusive of the newcomers, wholly so, and in Europe the Spaniards, Italians, French, Russians, and Swedes are generally what we call a swarthy, which means a dark or black complexion, as are the Germans. Also, the Saxon only accepted, who with the English make the principal body of white people on the face of the earth. I could wish their numbers were increased, and while we are, as I may call it, scarring our planet by clearing America of woods and to making this side of the globe reflect a brighter light to the eyes of inhabitants in Mars or Venus, this is just speculating. Why should we, in sight of superior beings, darken its people? Why increase the sons of Africa by planting them in America? And there we have so far an opportunity by excluding all blacks and tawny and increasing the lovely white and red. But perhaps I'm partial to the complexion of my country, for such kind of partiality is natural to mankind. Yes. You see what he said? You see what he said in 1751? He said the Germans were the sons of Africa. Here you can see a Hessian soldier or a German soldier. There's a German soldier right there on the left-hand side. You can see him with his musket, see him in his garb. And, and this is just the way it was. He said that Spain was black, France was black, Italians were black. Russians were black, Swedes were black. Germans were black in 1751, but look at about 1841, all those people who were then black, within 150 years, they had become white in complexion. You see, so I don't have to make up this stuff. I'm not making up stuff about the Germans being black. Even Even Benjamin Franklin tell you what they were. Here's a street scene. As a result of blacks ruling Iberia for over 800 years, there were numerous blacks in Portugal and Spain. Here's a street scene in Lisbon, Portugal. Note the black Portuguese who were in many cases elites, while other black Portuguese were commoners. Just look at this picture. This is a very, very interesting picture to show you what it was like in much of Europe at the time. You can see, in a sense, you can see in the background the influence of the Muslim architects on Lisbon. You can look at the towers and how the only thing they did is that they covered up the towers with pyramidal roofs. But again, look at this. This is how Portugal looked. This is how many European cities looked back in the day. They were mainly black people in those cities. Black elites. Look at them. Look at them there. There's black people on the boats. There's a few white people, but the vast majority of the people are dark skinned like you, dark skinned like me, dark skinned like us. See? Here you can see some of the black elites walking around. You can see a Caucasian or two. See them leading horses, but the elites were mainly all dark skinned. See, look at this. This is how it was, and see, this is what you have to understand: is that the Europe that we see today, where the predominant people are Caucasians. Back in the day, the predominant people in Europe, in a sense, in many European cities were black back in the day. Just as Benjamin Franklin said. Again, what did Benjamin Franklin say in 1751? I repeat, in 1751, he warned about German immigrants as the sons of Africa and their swarthy complexion, which was an affront to the purely white people who originally settled America. Yes. He saw the German people as swarthy. Here's a few pictures of some of the various events that were taking place back in the day in Germany, and you can see how much of the activities, many of the activities taking place in Germany, were being performed and conducted by black Germans. Here we can see some of the black Germans at a circus. You can see them riding their horses. You can see the performers. You can see them with their spears. You see. These aren't Moorish people. These are, in a sense, these are black Germans. Here's another example of some of the black Germans. And there's supposed to be pulling elephants and things like that. And this is some of the artifacts that we find. Beautiful art. Here's some other examples of some of the black Germans from some of their paintings. That's my imitation of a horn. There was formerly a large population of Moors in Germany, and as a result, we see numerous Moors depicted in crests dating back to the AD 1200. The crest can be seen in the Zürcher Wappenrollen Zurich Schweizerscheiß National Museum and the Schierberg as Wappenbock Bayerski Staatsbibliothek on the internet. Many of the crests can be found at Crowned Moors in Crest, 1263 to 1400 by Jeff Borks. Here's the website is right there. Go to this website and you can see even more art relating to these black Germans. Here's some more crests, some of the black Germans. Take a few seconds to look at them. They're quite impressive. Words create spells. Ethiopia means black and brilliant, complexion and intellect, in ancient Greek and German. On the right-hand side, you can see a crest from Germany. You see, if you remember from those castles, do you see that distinctive headband? The distinctive headband, and it's tied in the back, and it has two sides. The knot in the back of its two sides, you can see in a sense, and you can see some of the heraldry related to the German cross. But again, I think it's very interesting when you look at this that you can see this influence, this Moorish influence, and how many elites in Germany were Moors. So in other words, in a sense, it's very interesting that in much of Germany, in Old English and in German, we find this as black meant in the sense pale, it meant white. Yes, black. It meant bright, white, pale. You didn't know that, did you? You just think black is just a color, but we know in Old English, black meant meant more than that. It meant also white, pale. It meant in a sense, brilliant. And this is very interesting. And then we find in a sense that it's interesting that when you go look at some of the kings in Bavaria or Saxon, here we have Henry II, nigger. Last week, one of the people in a sense who, one of the comments, they said, Dr. Winter, stop saying nigger, but this is what they called themselves. Right here, we can see she was the wife of Primulaflas II, king of Bebemia, Agrippina, the wife of Lafcus, King Elizabeth, the wife of King of Duke. And and they called these people in Saxon, they called Henry II the nigger. He was born 1017. He was emperor from 1039 to October 1056, and they called him the nigger. They called him the nigger, Henry the nigger. And then there was Henry the nigger. He was the Duke of Saxony in Bavaria. I don't want to make up stuff. You see? And then you had the nigger king of Poland. I'm not, nigger was just how they called themselves. I'm not making it up. See? And then we see another in a sense. Henry III, he was the nigger Duke of Bavaria. And in light of his wife, the title Duke of Saxony. But it was not really Duke. For the death of his father-in-law, Magnus the Left, Duke of Race of Billung, the Emperor Dintry V, gave Saxony with the title of Marshal of the Empire. Yes. He became, in a sense, the emperor, but he was called Henry III the nigger. And then you had so don't get it twisted. Don't think I'm just trying to just be exciting to you or trying to give you some misinformation. I'm just going off what the text shows, what the history shows. You see, again, here we can see some more heraldry or crest. See some more crests from Germany. These are from Zurich Schwarzenberg National Museum, Zürcher Wappenroll. Here we can see some more crests of some of these black elites. Again, don't get it twisted. These would have you don't see that Moorish headband, so you can be sure that these were just average black German elites, because we don't see that band tied around their head. Here's some more black German elites. Here's the crest of the Kitchenberg family. Then we see the crest of the Peppenheim family. And then we can see the crest of the Archbishop of Frisching. Here's the Frisching Archbishop. So again, we see that the black Germans were totally integrated in German society. So it's no need to make up stuff. But again, as I showed earlier, from prehistoric time to Paleolithic, prehistoric times, all the way down into the medieval period, much of Germany was still occupied by black people. There has been a long history of blacks in Germany from Paleolithic times into the medieval period. It is clear these black Germans were not only elites before and after the Moorish invasion of Europe, but also members of the general population. It is an interesting time of European history, which definitely needs more research. Here's some more crests. In conclusion, While the Moors had a profound impact on architecture, particularly in Spain and in the Mediterranean region, their direct influence on the architectural styles of German castles is negligible. That's false. It really is. It is a little bit more than negligible. We find a sense that many of the forts were basically built on Moorish tiles. The development of castle architecture in Germany was largely influenced by Europeans, you see. And understanding this helps to clarify the historic record and dispels the myth about the Moorish impact on German castle building. But remember, even though in a sense those they may have not been Moors specifically, they were still black people who built those castles. These are some of the books that I used and information I used for this particular series. Of course, my book Blacks in Europe. In summary, this book discusses the various African populations settled in Europe. Then you got Bracy Loring, Race and Human Evolution, The Fatal Attraction. Summary, this book includes comprehensive overview of human evolution and race. And so again, I list these a bibliography. I tell you what some of these articles are. Again, you can either stop the video at this point and you copy down and you check these sources. But if you join my Patreon, I'm going to send my slides to the Patreon. And when I send my slides to the Patreon, you'll be able to look at this information in detail. Again, you can go to my Patreon to see the slides. Please join my Patreon. Help support me, please. I want to thank also. James Davis, who sent me a Cash App. Thanks, James. But join my Patreon and help support me. Help support me in my research activities. Help support me so I can keep making these wonderful videos for you. And let the researcher do the research. If you want to learn how to be a researcher, get my book Pathfinder: Clive Winters in Search of the Roots of Afrocentrism, a memoir. Again, in this book, I talk about how I became a researcher. It can help you too to be a researcher. When you want to get specific research skills, buy my book, Afrocentric Researcher. This book is a guide to study social science research methods. It'll teach you how to do linguistic research, anthropological, historical, quantitative, and qualitative. Get this book, Afrocentric Researcher, for your library. If you want to find out more about Blacks in Europe, get my books, The World History of the Black Race, where I talk about every Black civilization that ever existed on Earth. And it's a survey book. Then get my books, Blacks in Europe, From Prehistory to Contemporary Times. This book, in a sense, is an overview. It goes, in a sense, from prehistory to medieval period. And then get my book, Manufactured Genetic Origins, The Fake Eurasian Black Migration. This is a very important book because it explains how there was no early migration of Caucasians into Europe. It also shows, in the sense, that the Bell-Beaker people and other people that they often associate with the Indo-Europeans and claim that these people were Caucasians or white, but that's false. So get these books so that you too can learn more about the Black people in Europe. You can order all these books, and all of my books can be ordered from Amazon.com. Okay, remember, B1 is acknowledging your Black African ancestry and mod, not heritage. We must be race men and women proud of our culture and African Black ancestry. You have to be B1. B1 is Black first. B1 is brilliant first. Yes. To be B1 is to be Black and brilliant. To be B1 is to be Black and brilliant. Yes, you are. When you're B1, you're Black and you're brilliant. It's very important to understand this, so that you too will know the truth and know the reality. Okay, how you doing, Carol, Denise, Nadi, Hayuya, how you doing? Adam Byers, what up, though? This interesting port. JP said, no need to make up anything. I also found that nigger meant receptivity and openness. White represents arrogance and unwillingness to be instructed. Interesting. Natty said, I kind of think the term the Black Death had another implication sometimes. Well, the Black Death, it just simply meant in the sense that, when you die, your corpse turned pale. Remember, one of the earliest identifications of black was for pale. You also had to remember that pale also meant black. What is this? Let's see what he said. Okay, Carol said, some white people told me that these crests with black people represented people who conquered the Moors. I laughed in his face. I'm glad you did, Carol, because it was a lie. The truth over everything. What up, though? And, I really want to thank, in a sense, Yoshimod, because Yoshimod, in a sense, he made my introduction. Yoshimod made that beautiful video. And I hope that those of you out there who want to make your website exciting, if you want to make book covers, I think he made a book cover for JP. If you want to, in a sense, get a lot of things done that can help your work be looking more professional, contact Yoshimod at Yoshimod Productions. If you're going to if you got anything that's coming up, like a family reunion or any type of activity, or if you want to make a special gift to your mom or your cousin, uncle, auntie, contact Yoshimod. Let Yoshimod make a video. Contact Yoshimod. He can tell you his prices. He can make a nice video of maybe your mom, or somebody who you like, or you could send him the pictures. He could write the text for it, or you can give him an idea of what you want to be in the text, and it could be a wonderful present for one of your friends and family. Yoshimod is a genius, and Yoshimod, in a sense, can help you to really make some things look very, very good. Denise Bryant says that thanks your humor makes the topic interesting. Okay, thank you. You're welcome. Natty says yes. One of my greatest action heroes of the 20th century was Arnold Schwarzenegger. That means, do you know what that means? That means Arnold Schwartz, black, Niger. That means Arnold the Black Nigger. Yes, that's his name, Arnold the Black Nigger. What does that tell you? That tells you that Natty is telling you that Arnold has a black nigger in his ancestry. Very, very interesting, JP said, "Thank you, Yoshimod." I think he did JP wrote another book, I think, and I think Yoshi did the cover for a book. So check out Yoshimod. How you doing, Carol? Said, I'm reading your book, History and Culture of the Aboriginal U.S. This needs to be an abridged audio book. It's great. Thank you. I think that book should be in the home of everybody, everybody, and it should be in the home. And, support Yoshimod, just like JP said, support Yoshi. He is amazing. He is amazing. He is amazing. JP says, He did the cover. He did the cover for my sister's book. It is great. The book should be an Amazon on Amazon very soon. Oh, that's cool. So we're going to be looking forward to that. I'm glad that JP and her sister are doing the research. They're writing the books. This is very important for us. It's very important in a sense to understand that you can also be a researcher. You don't have to, in a sense, just give up. But my book, the History and Culture of the Black Aboriginals, is a book that should be in every home because it tells you, if you're FBA, about your Aboriginal heritage. Hey, I've just written a new book, History and Culture of the Black Aboriginals of America. Yes, I've written a new book. This book is called History and Culture of Afro-Americans. It's about the Aboriginal Americans. It's about the first people who inhabited America. Many people don't know about our great culture, this super culture that we created, but I discussed this book. In 489 pages, you'll find out so much information, great information, about, in a sense, what the Aboriginal foundational Black Americans did. You're going to see, in a sense, that Black people contributed much here. When the first Europeans got here, that's what they found. Yes, they found Black Aboriginals inhabiting the Americas. It was the Black Aboriginals that built this country. This is why you had to get my book, History and Culture of the Aboriginal Blacks of the Americas. In this book, you will find out the truth. You will know what we created. You will know who we are. Get this book. Buy it now. Yeah, get that book. It should be should be in your home. This is the book. This book, in a sense, will tell you your history. This book, in a sense, this is the hardcover edition. The hardcover edition is 500 pages because in the hardcover edition, I include an index. This book is 500 pages of knowledge about the Aboriginal Black people of America. It tells you how we became the slaves, how they were sold into the Caribbean. It also, in a sense, explains how Black people in North America built stone pyramids, and that many of these stone pyramids were torn down as the Americans built railroads across the Midwest and the South, because they used to use the stone from the pyramids that our ancestors built. They used to use it as a quarry, a place where they could get, in a sense, stone to build some of their own monuments. Yes. Get this book. Know your history. Get this book. Joan asked a question. She said, were the Huns part of the German tribes from the north? No, the Huns, many of the Huns who live in Hungary are called Magyar. The Magyar people, they identify themselves as Uyghurs or Uyghurs, or Black people. They in a sense were more related to the Kushites, and they go back a little bit earlier. So many of the Huns, these people in a sense were Kushites, and in fact, many of them chart their history back to the Sudan. Yes, Nadi. Yoshimot is the genius. He is definitely the genius. I mean, that's why I just love his videos. And do you know what I think I want to play? I think I want to play his video again. Because let's hear that again.
Yoshi. Yeah. All right. Yeah. I'm Yoshi. Yeah. Go ahead, Netta. And TR. You probably be mad at me for what I might say. You probably be mad at me for what I might say. You probably be mad at me for what I might say. You probably be mad at me because I am blunt. I am blunt. I am blunt. I say what I want. I am blunt. I am blunt. I am blunt. I say what I want. I say what I want. Restrictions, no filter here. Only the truth. Truth get revealed. We all want truth in our ear. went wrong, you switched the directions. Hate me so much, you block my blessings. Truth should set you free from exceptions. Loving me, love the heat, hate the fate, learn the streets. They hate love, love the pain. All the music sounds the same. Entertain, not a game, you're to blame. I can never be that kind of way, because we all have different emotions, and we all entitled to our opinions. But when you talk, it just don't make sense. That's why when you speak, I don't believe it. So I analyze every damn thing, and I also do my own research too. So you can't tell me any damn thing, and I've been trained to see right past you. The Illuminati, they can't have my body, they can taste my shawty. The Illuminati, they can't lead nobody, they can't call my body now. On to the hill, on to the truth, truth get revealed. All we want, truth in here, all we want, truth in our hill. Let me wrong, take the correction, something went wrong, switch the direction, take me so much, block my pleasure, truth is vision, free from possession. You probably be mad at me for what I might say. You probably be mad at me for what I might say. You probably be mad at me for what I might say. You probably be mad at me because I am blunt. I am blunt. I say what I feel. I say what I want. I say number truth. I am blunt. I say what I feel. I say what I want. I am blunt.
That's right, he's blunt, baby. But I tell you something else, at any given time.
I'm out the ocean and I may be hollow. At any given time, I may be followed. I'm out the ocean and I may be hollow. At any given time, I may be followed. I'm out the ocean and I may be hollow. At any given time, I may be followed. I'm out the ocean and I may be hollow. At any given time, I may die. What's the that you don't want me to say? Ain't been big on my listen to me. Sometimes I feel like the late that I made. On my grandmother was in the maid. Leave me behind and then left me astray. What is the truth that was going on with me? Told me be cool and just have a nice day. Some things are just easy to say. Wish I could stop me from breathing today. Don't have no food and they swimming on me. Out in the ocean away from the bay. I've been drifting along far away. I went up in to keep them away. Say what you say, but I just cannot stay. What's been a lane and they want me to drink. Can't do the crime, they don't suit me. Mine unfortunately, ain't my sorrow. So many follow, slipping and hollow. Bring on the idol, listen to Carlos. Living to borrow, living to borrow. Living to call home, shooting a hollow. Shooting a inferno, pop out the carnal. Summon out your look out in the eye. All known, seeing that is a pyramid. Hey, they summon it, that is affirmative. I look at Mr. Biz, got the hook to the ring. Chill at the color quiz, that's what the mission is. We are that guinea pig, who's I'm feeling it. Tired of the silliness, all like I'm feeling this. Feeling we're killing this, feeling like feeling this. Swimming this message off of the shore into the abyss. Deep in, I'm in ocean and I may be hollow. At any given time, I may be followed. I'm out the ocean and I may be hollow. At any given time, I may be followed. I'm out the ocean and I may be hollow. At any given time, I may be followed. I'm out the ocean and I may be hollow. At any given time, I may die. I'm super genie, what a fiend, take you to Feeny. How would they see me? Sleazy bikini, nothing but weenies. Wearing a beanie, full of bikini. Changing the scenery, changing the scenery. Strumming your misery, so many lies of me. Probably got you on TV, believe me. Pulling your memories, killing the name. They never just admit that they got me. Machiavelli could have never been sloppy. We can see it's nothing but copies. Listen, cook up in that lobby. Billie Holiday just was a body. George Clinton committed them robberies. It seems he went for the lottery. This all falls in one category. We all call it a mystery. I'm the villain you all see. They glory to those who all see. Pentagram set up like Eddie Murphy. No car crash, they just hating on me. Gotta make a comeback like Bill Cosby. Kobe Bryant playing conspiracy. Get me back for taking a knee. They just be kidding me. Like on a turban, hit when I'm swerving. Black house cursing, sipping up a curving. More laceration, installation, no motivation. Straight elimination, your animation, alienation, annihilation. All for the taking, taking like taking. Open faking, us first nation. Who and saving, change like Raven. Send me David, had to shake 'em. them, who's a brave one, they a craven. Even Jada save them, Jada paving. Who we faking, Harry make them misbehaving. We the brave men, before we drown in the water, got a deep dive. I'm in the ocean and my baby hollow. And then they give it time, my baby follow. I'm out the ocean and my baby hollow. And then they give it time, my baby follow. I'm out the ocean and my baby hollow. And then they give it time, my baby follow. I'm out the ocean and my baby hollow. And then they give it time, my baby always one who justify rain. Came from the cave, came from the bay, created the slave. Step out of water, fiction is harder. Why do they bother? Go with my head, first like a daughter. Same boat, same fate, only in slaughter. Slip though, jet bro, same as a father. Justify life, why should it be harder? On my nation, these things water. See how they come, all in one. Force me to gun, force me to the slum. Live up the crumb, father's hung. Best is beyond, live as one. Betraying the nuns, speak for the young. Nobody's dumb, maybe just someone they young. Maverick approach, truth by Yojo. And the kind will grow, just as the old go came up the old fall. E-I-E-I-O-E-O song. Training the wheel until it's all gone. Gotta go deeper, dive with the people. Some turn lethal, neighbors is evil. Go from the right, give up the fight. No human right, kill them on sight. Many despair, many beware. I see that I'm there, I see that I'm here. Ready with flash, calling all bad. Our genders are here, we the illusion, not disappear. As hard as my chin, deep dive. I'm my illusion and my baby hollow. And in they give it time, my baby follow. I'm out the ocean and my baby hollow. And in they give it time, my baby follow. I'm out the ocean and my baby hollow. And in they give it time, my baby follow. I'm out the ocean and my baby hollow. And in they give it time, my baby
Support Yoshi Mod. Yoshi Mod, the genius. This man has so much good music. You know, you just have to, in a sense, be supportive of this guy because see, what Yoshi Mod is doing is that he's bringing back real music to black people. A lot of that hip hop today is degenerate. Yes, it's degenerate music, and the reason it's degenerate music is because of the fact, in a sense, that this music has no relationship. It has no relationship to foundational black Americans. It's talking about negative stuff, talking about things that we shouldn't even that shouldn't even be on the minds of people. It doesn't relate to us. Here's another great song by Yoshi Mod, the genius.
What gathered is a revelation by God through black race.
Religion is not for black folks, only the truth. Don't let the non-believer distract me from you. No UFO, only for you by you. No UFO, only for you by you. I'm in heaven, no need for religion. Catholic, Christian, church, a big business. Folk tales made to hide our origin. Therefore, Yoshi reborn again. Back in the day, I was known as Kala. These folks don't respect their father, so I sent them back to the waters of none. We made it through the Mahapa. My ancestors call out war. You say you seen I saw. Small legs now, giant chainsaw. NTR, nectar. You must protect her. Undefeatable, resilient frequency in this universe is them against you and me. I am one with the first frequency. I am one with the first idea. I am one with the firstborn people. I am one with the only one. Ashe, and so it is. You are the thinker that makes the thought a thing. Meditate and come chill amongst kings and queens. America has failed. I feel rejected, betrayed, and jailed. Too quick, too soon, too often. Toxic stress take you to the coffin. Intergenerational trauma made us have sex with our own fucking mama. That's cruel, creepy. They used to beat me, hang me, rape me, cook me up and eat me. Use me as a sacrifice. Mighty parts and souvenirs, it ain't right. It's all because they heard of who we are. Hitler and Einstein knew we was star. I equals mental evasion. Pick up the nausea for this equation. Tragic, I'm a equals zero. Equals zero. Equals zero. At the end of the physical, I am the hero. Spiritual essence equals zero. I never change, remain the same. My respect for nature and my brain. The Black American experience is the most traumatizing experience that any other human has ever experienced. PTSS, RBTS, V68, HF, and RBF. Racial battle fatigue. How many times was my family wept because they can't see? Slaughter us on camera, offer us help, and I see us saying, Master help. Imposter syndrome, dead nature. They never wanted to make just wanted our wealth. Lazy, pathetic, inbred. Criminals, murderers, half-dead. Straight out the ice age. On another masquerade. With one purpose to divide and conquer. Most of us come from a sunken place. Shadow work will return us back in shape. Back then, even now, they still a best. And I upgraded and I remain the best of best. Can't keep us from thinking. On the cool, we let they ship sinking. No religion, sex addiction, food addiction, depth addiction, substance, self-help addiction. We're trying to feel that what's missing. Our history, or maybe I'm tripping. All I know is that boy Jesus was fishing. If it ain't, then call him Haru. If it ain't said again, it's Haru. I know who I am, so who are you? About the carved in stone came true. Scientific facts not made up like you. White folks was invented as a matter of law. Divide and conquer humanity. Protect and ensure the interests of the 1%. Trauma bonded, loyal to a person who's destructive. Kill anything who disrupted. Kill us, defeat us, slash us in public. Behind closed doors, he was kissing and hugging. And if a baby come born into slavery, till his days are done. Mixed breed, born to be dumb. Rape me just for fun. Rape me just to come. Pleasure Island. And you wonder why you mad and feminine. They used to butt break the biggest and baddest men. Well known all over the islands. Queerish ways got you acting childish. Correct me if I'm wrong and I'm lying. Babies don't come out of butts while you trying. I can't think of a reason to try it. Like cigarettes, you force yourself to like it. Chosen government who study alchemy. Understand this is not African history. This is something created with crossbreeding. Neanderthal ways, their species. Even the 8 folks who came from trees. Walking upright, everybody full of fleas. Understood I am for you and you for me. Opposite the track, that's coming back. That's it. My time on earth can't quit. 919, I am lit. Nigga drop said fine, that's lit. Create life, no artificial mix. Men getting pregnant shouldn't exist. No offense to other races, but this is for my ancient Egyptians. Oh.
God came out and said, well, you know, before a blessing comes out, you gotta taste, some difficulty so you can appreciate the blessing. After that experience, you will be redeemed as a chosen race. So what God did was reveal this God order called
Gaga, baby, Gaga. This is, man, what up, though? Cool dude. That's the song I played for my class in New York. They liked it, the sound imagery. Yes, this is the way our music need to go. But I want to thank you, family, for joining me this week. I hope you learned a lot about the blacks in Germany. And if you have an idea, send me an email or put it in the chat, and I'll see what I can do. Again, thank you guys for sharing your time. Thank you, in a sense, for coming. Thank you for being the great audience that you are. And thank you for being family. But always remember, if you're not going to speak up, please support the ones who do.
If you're not going to speak up,